This is my review for NXT TakeOver Rival, the NXT special that aired tonight on the WWE Network. And in my opinion, tonight's NXT special was easily the best special they put on to date. The last three matches were all great stuff. The undercard wasn't great, but it wasn't anything too bad. And the last three matches easily made up for the undercard being a little bit weak on this show. But the last three matches were some great stuff, and I highly recommend everyone to go out their way to see this. Neville and Balor was great. The women's match was some great stuff as well, and I love the main event with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And the way they had Kevin Owens win the title, I thought was a very good booking. It was a way to make Kevin Owens look like, the crazy psychopath, and at the same time not necessarily hurt Sami Zayn for losing the title. It was definitely the perfect way. They booked it perfect, in my opinion, the main event. And those three were great stuff. The undercard on this show, while it wasn't anything to write home about, it wasn't awful. And the stuff that was like passable on this show, like the Corbin and Dempsey match, at least that stuff was kept very short. But let me get into my review for tonight's NXT TakeOver Rival special. First matchup was Hideo Itami versus Tyler Breeze. This was a match made at the last minute going into the special. They made this last week on the special, on the lead up to the NXT special that aired tonight. This was a solid match. It was fun, good back and forth action. Started off with Hideo Itami being very dominant, hard hitting strikes from him. Then Tyler Breeze took over the match. He was working over Hideo Itami's leg within here, and then Hideo Itami took over the match, and he teased the GTS again. He didn't hit it here, but when he does hit that GTS, this crowd and everyone is going to mark out. I cannot wait for that moment to see when he finally does hit the GTS. They just did the tease tonight. He won with the running kick to Tyler Breeze. 2 and 3/4 star match. Good solid match to kick off the NXT special. Then the next matchup, this was a match I did not give two shits about, and I'm glad they kept it very short. This was Baron Corbin versus Dempsey in a no DQ match, and just the way they booked these two against each other didn't really make any sense. I understand where they were going for. They had Baron Corbin just squash Dempsey in the first two matches against each other in less than, one time within like 2 minutes, and the other time, hell, within like less than a minute, like 30 seconds or something. And I get what they were going with here. They were trying to make Dempsey seem like, the hardcore environment, that is what he is special for. But they didn't do that in this match. Thankfully, Baron Corbin ended this very quick. Wasn't much of a match at all. Wasn't much of a hardcore match like you would expect from a no DQ match. Something would have been done in here, but it was kept short. But that was the good thing. It was kept short and sweet. Definitely the one passable thing on here, but at least they kept it very short. 1 star at best. It was not that good. And the next matchup was for the NXT Tag Team titles. This was the Lucha Dragons of Sin Cara and Kalisto versus the new NXT Tag Team Champions, Blake and Murphy. And this match I wasn't expecting something great from, but I was expecting a little bit better than what it was. For some reason or not, now Sin Cara has a history of being kind of botchy in the ring, so that was not really surprising to see that he was a little botchy in this match and it was a little sloppy on his part. But Kalisto, which is a guy I love a lot, and he's a great luchador that they could do some great stuff whenever he gets on the main roster. For some reason, I don't know what it was. I don't know if they just couldn't click as a tag team. I don't know if he wasn't just clicking with Blake and Murphy in this match, but he just had an off night. It wasn't terrible, but I was expecting much more from it. It was decent at best. And you had the NXT Tag Team Champions of Blake and Murphy retain the NXT Tag Team titles in about, a 1.5 star match, 1 and 3/4 star match. I was expecting much more from it, especially, since every time Kalisto's out there, you get some great stuff. Just tonight, he had an off night, which a lot of performers in any type of sport, wrestling or whatever, have their off night, and just tonight was Kalisto's off night. But then after that, this is when the show got great, and everything from this next match and the other two matches after it, this was some phenomenal stuff you saw on this show. The first up of it, and this was when the show got great, was Adrian Neville versus Finn Balor in the #1 contendership match to determine who will be the #1 contender for the NXT Championship. This was some great wrestling. You had Finn Balor. You had him come out with this awesome entrance, which is one thing. They're doing it in the right way, where he doesn't do it on every week on the TV show, because it would get redundant. It would not be as special as it was. So they're just saving it for the specials, which is what they should be doing. Had an awesome entrance there, and just some great stuff from Neville and Finn Balor here. And Finn Balor, they put everything on. They put their bodies on the line. They did everything in here. This was just what you would want in a wrestling match, and they definitely delivered. It was some great stuff, and Finn Balor wins the match with the double stomp, and just great stuff there. Love this match. Easily a match of the year candidate. I would say probably 4.5 stars. That's how much I liked it. It was damn good, and something everyone needs to go out their way to see. Then the next matchup was something else I was looking forward to a lot going into this show, which was the 4-way match for the NXT Women's Championship, with Charlotte defending the championship against Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. And this was a damn good women's match. Definitely showcasing that Death Race Sarah Del Rey, who is training the women down there. She is doing a great job of not only training the women, but putting these matches together for the women down there. And I would hope at some point we would see these type of caliber of women's matches on the main roster, because, a lot of people that maybe don't watch these NXT specials or anything that's non, Raw or SmackDown are like, the women's matches are piss breaks. Well, if they gave you these type of matches on a more regular basis on, the monthly pay-per-views, or, on TV, people would be more interested in the women's division, and just they're doing great stuff with the women in NXT. This 4-way was really good. Normally, some triple threats and 4-ways take a little while to, click, like it has a slow start, but it really didn't have that much of a slow start. Took a little bit for everything to click, but once it did, it was great. Bayley was involved in this match a lot. She was one of the big focal points of this. Charlotte was great, like she always is. You saw the more aggressive side and the hard-hitting strikes from Becky in here, and Sasha Banks, which she is probably my favorite women's wrestler in NXT. She was great in here as well, and they ended it really good with Sasha Banks, the boss Sasha Banks, becoming the new NXT champion. She tried at first to get the cheap victory, where Bayley, she did off the top rope. She did her finisher off the top rope to Charlotte. Bayley looked like she was going to win. Sasha broke that up. Tried to go for the sheep pin right there. That didn't happen. Then she locked in the crossface. Tried to get Charlotte to tap out. Charlotte didn't tap out. Then rolled her over into a backslide for the pin. 1, 2, 3. Sasha Banks is the new NXT Women's Champion. Damn good women's match. I highly recommend people to go out their way to see that match, as well as the match before this. 4 stars. Great women's match. Loved everything about it. Then the main event, which was obviously the match everyone wanted to see the most going in this show, which was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Their back history and everything from, their time in PWG and Ring of Honor. All their back history writes itself. This was a match that pretty much wrote itself. WWE didn't have to do any, elaborate booking for it. Everything just wrote itself perfectly here. And Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens put on a hell of a main event. I mean, with a match like the match that Neville and Balor had, most people shouldn't be able to top that match on most shows for the most part, especially on a US based show. I mean, you see sometimes those matches might get topped on a New Japan show, but not that often on a US based show. And just the bizarro world of WWE, where you see this caliber of a product produced, and then you see what they produce weekly on their television, which is nowhere as good, and their regular pay-per-views are nowhere like this. Which that it was, but it isn't. But Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn put on a hell of a main event here. I love the way they booked it. Sami Zayn is the only guy that I know that you can book as the underdog, and it doesn't make him look like a pussy. It doesn't make him look like a weakling and a weak champion. It just adds to it, because the way they do it is he's the underdog, but he's the underdog that will not give up the fight, and that's what they did here. Started off very strong with, Kevin Owens. He was outside the ring. He was playing mind games with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn dove over the ref onto Kevin Owens. That was, a huge start to here. And then just great back and forth action. They pulled everything out within this match. The only thing they didn't pull out, which I don't ever expect Kevin Owens to do it within NXT or his WWE career, which is the package pile driver. Obviously, what they got him doing is, the multiple power bombs. That's more or less what his finisher is now, and a few other things he does as well. Could be, alternative finishers, but just great action here. They laid everything on the line. Excellent match. Everyone needs to see this, and the ending of it was just old school booking, and I thought it was great. Where they had the medical staff coming out there looking at Sami Zayn, and that's kind of playing into us, smart marks and fans and hardcore fans are like, please don't do something stupid where they end the match via that way or something. But what they did was, they kept attending to Sami Zayn, looking at him. He wouldn't give up, and Kevin Owens kept hitting Sami Zayn with multiple power bombs. I think it was like after the fifth or sixth one is when the ref called the match via ref stoppage. Kevin Owens is the new NXT champion. A great moment there for Kevin Owens. Within just 2 months of his NXT career, he is already the champion, and this was a great way to, make, Kevin Steen, the unstoppable force, the madman as champ, and he won it this way. And at the same time, it did not hurt Sami Zayn at all. WWE, when they book other people like this, they need to learn that you can do certain things like you did here, and it didn't hurt the match at all as far as the ref stoppage. And at the same time, you made Sami Zayn still look like a strong champion, even though he only had a 2-month reign as NXT champion. This was just a phenomenal special. As far as the main event, I give it 4.5 stars. So on this show, you had 2 matches that are easily match of the year candidates, with Neville and Balor in the main event of Owens and Zayn. And then you had a damn good women's match. Definitely a special I would recommend everyone to go out their way to see. This is one thing that if you're one of those people that cancel your subscription for the WWE Network, if you don't have the WWE Network at the moment, this special is worth the $9.99, which is like the one thing that I would say is NXT is mainly the reason why the WWE Network and stuff like they do, like the Austin podcast. Those are the things that really keep the network going. The more specials they put like this on and the Austin podcast, stuff like that, that's going to drive people to get your network. That's what WWE needs to learn. At the same time, I would say that the other thing they need to do if they want to increase more people to go out their way to get the WWE Network is you need to improve your main roster product as well. But at least we're getting this great alternative thing from WWE with NXT. And as far as my overall rating for the show, I probably get an 8.75, probably even a 9 out of 10. I think I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because those last 3 matches were just some great stuff, and the stuff that was on the undercard, the Bull Dempsey and Corbin match was very short, and the tag match wasn't, was pretty short as well. So pretty much the bad stuff on here was very, very limited in time, and almost all the stuff on this show was great. Highly recommend everyone go out their way to see the show if you missed it tonight. And that's it for my NXT TakeOver Rival review. All right, peace.